Go.
Hello, Fight and Sight fans, viewers, and listeners. I am Brady Bunch, your co-host, and with me as always, we got Timmy B. And welcome to episode 111. Can you believe that? Triple ones. Before we start the show, please follow and subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends, right? Let us all know. Let your friends know which platforms we use. Fight and Sight podcast on YouTube. Of course, you want to check out the Instagram. And everyone loves Spotify, right? On today's episode, we're going to talk to an undefeated Canadian bantamweight, right? A female fighter. We're going to talk about my latest fight a little bit, fill some of you in on what the hell happened. We're going to discuss the Molina drama, right? Which involves the outing of an athlete and a whole lot more. Tim, hit it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Fight and Sight podcast. Let's talk. There's so much drama to talk about today, Brady Bunch. I can't even wait to get to it all. Our guest is an undefeated pro MMA fighter who takes her 2-0 record into the battlefield cage this month on March 30th at BFL 76. She hails from British Columbia, born and raised. She can beat you up in the cage and in the classroom. Everybody, please welcome to the podcast. She is the Alanimal, Alana Cook.
Hey guys, how are you?
How's it going?
In the cage in the classroom. Okay.
And the classroom. Brains and brawn. Alana, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is cool. I always love, Brady Bunch is in New York, but I'm Toronto born and raised. So I'm always happy to have fellow Canadians on the podcast. And I got to know you because of your agent, Remington.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude.
No, I love Remington, man. And I've never actually met him in person yet, but we just, just when someone you vibe so well, we've got that same sense of humor. And I think he's from BC originally as well. So he's my Canadian bro.
Nice. No, he's a good dude. And we've had so many of his athletes on the show. So I really appreciate him putting us in touch with like up and coming stars such as yourself. So it's really cool. One question I had off the bat that I had to ask you is, you are a corgi lover?
Of course. Oh, yeah. Ruby, where are you? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Come here, girl.
All right. We always love to see the pets.
I'm definitely a corgi aficionado. Come here,
okay.
Girl. So I always, where is she?
Oh, my God. This is why you need to watch the video version of the podcast so you can see the cute puppies. Here we go. How's it going, Ruby?
All right, Scat. No, I definitely am. Yeah, there's just something about them, man. They're just such a funny little breed, and they got so much I never used to be a little dog person, but they've got that big dog personality, which I like. And they are surprisingly agile. Like, I bring her hiking, and she's got, like, no problem keeping up with even those little short little legs. She's just, like, yeah. She's doing well. She keeps up the pace.
Very cute. Very cute. You have a massive fight coming up on March 30th. I'm going to put the picture up just so that people can see. And of course, come over to the video version of the podcast, like I said. But here it is, March 30th, BFL. It's on UFC Fight Pass. There you go. And this is your second fight for BFL in your pro career.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So, so I fought a little bit for them when I was an amateur, just did some kickboxing. Had my pro debut last January with Palace Athena. And then Battlefield offered me a fight in April against Maria Demers. Came away from that. And then, they just, they offered me a fight against Jackie. And my team felt like that was a good fight for me. And my coach was like, my coach has this weird curse. Every time we go to Calgary, he gets stuck there. Like his flight gets canceled, his car breaks down. So I just know that now. I never, sorry, 1 second. Sorry.
I could hear Ruby in the background.
Yeah, I know.
Looking for a way out.
Yeah, there you go. Sean has this curse. He just always gets stuck in Calgary. So either like the flight gets canceled or his car breaks down or something. So he was like, please, he's like, I have so much going on in April. Can you please just like fight in Vancouver so that I don't get stuck somewhere?
Nice.
And there's some other people from my team on there as well. So looking really forward to it.
And you fight with Ascension MMA, correct?
Ascension Martial. Yeah. So I'm actually I'm under two gyms. So Ascension Martial Arts. My head coach is Sean Albrecht, and then I also do a lot of my striking at Universal MMA under Dayon Kajik, who's
nice.
the BFL champion right now.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. And so BFL, good promotion to work with. You're happy with them. When it's this league, are you signed for like multi-fight contract, or how does it work with BFL? I'm always curious.
So just given all the opportunities that I've had some really cool opportunities happen. So we just signed a 1-fight contract just to keep that open. But if it goes well, like I definitely wouldn't be opposed to fighting for them again. You know, they do a lot for our Vancouver fighters. Like they're easy to work with. So yeah, I just really like to keep my options open and see, you know, where the fight game takes me.
Yeah, awesome. And of course, because you're a bantamweight, that's like the primo weight class, I feel. Like if you're a woman and you're in the bantamweight, like because almost every every organization has a women's bantamweight division. So it's like a very stacked division. You can kind of you can leave a lot of options open to go anywhere you'd like. And being on UFC Fight Pass brings you tons of viewers, like tons of recognition, right?
Yeah, that's extremely cool too. And being on the main card for that, and you know, just being able to know that like anyone around the world can tune in and see me fight. That's really awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Brady Bunch knows, of course, a big friend of this podcast is Brian Bam Bam Barberena, UFC fighter. He unfortunately lost his fight on the weekend. But I wanted to raise something with you because you said, hey, when they offered me this opponent, my team and I thought this was a good fight. Like that Brady Bunch, I know we'll talk about later, but man, I hated the opponent that Bam Bam fought because he was like another grappling heavy dude. And Bam Bam is a guy that likes to get into wars, like stand-up wars. And I was just like, I hate this stupid matchup. So Alana, how important is it for you to like pick the right fights that is going to set you up, not just for success, but set you up to be able to showcase your skills?
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, fighting it's 50% talent and it's 50% business, you know, picking the fights. And, you know, you could be the best fighter in the world, but if you don't have good management, if you don't have a good team looking out for you, it's really sad. You know, some really talented fighters can get sidetracked with the wrong opponents. So I have fought mostly like my first opponent. My first opponent was really better than me in all aspects on paper, but I knew that she was a really high level striker, and you know, I've got great grappling, so that was the focus, right? We always have a good game plan. Second fight, same thing. I knew that she was a big striker. Went in there, took her down, ground and pound. That was it. And so for this fight, it's really interesting because Jackie and I do have that similar style, but what I think is the key difference is that my stand up is. I'm not afraid to throw hands. I've got good range. I've got good power. I think she doesn't look like she's comfortable striking, and that's why she goes there. So I think that there's a huge difference when you get to choose where you want to be versus being like, oh, I have to go here because that's where my strengths are. And yeah, just having a coach that knows me better than I know myself sometimes. You know, sometimes I'm like, I want to fight that person. I don't want to fight that person. And he's the one who's like, you know, like you can do it. And more often than not, he's like, he's on board. And Jackie and I have kind of been eyeing each other up for a while. So I knew that this was always probably going to happen. And I think it's going to be a really exciting fight because we're both, you know, tough as nails. We're both scrappy. We both love ground and pound. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Is there anything that you had to do to prepare differently for this fight than other fights?
Yeah, you know, I'm a pretty tolerant person, but you know, something about southpaws, I just don't like them. Bunch of degenerates. I just, you know,
well, they're the devil, right? Like
you know, I try to be a good person, but it's so I had to work with some southpaws to get ready for this fight, and they showed me their culture, they showed me their ways, they brought me in, and now I feel like I understand them a bit more. You know, they're not so different from you and I, believe it or not. So yeah,
still worse, but just not as bad.
You know, right? Like I don't know if I'd go out in public with them, but in the gym we found that nice. I can live with them. So yeah, get ready for that.
Nice. Brady Bunch, you're not a southpaw, are you?
No.
Okay, thank God. Oh, phew, that was close.
Wish I was. Great advantage. But yes, I'm sure a lot more people would hate me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. So Alana, I mean, obviously, like even right away, like in talking to you, you seem like a great person, and I'm so excited to meet you. But for people that don't know Alana Cook, aside from just getting to meet you now on this podcast, who is Alana Cook? Like, how did you get into this? How did you get into fighting? And, you know, your upbringing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a long story. I've been an athlete my whole life, right? My dad's a rugby coach, so like ever since I was little, I was always playing mostly team sports. And then when I was 19, I really wanted to. Well, honestly, I was kind of angry. I was just, things were in my life. I needed a change, and I was aging out of competitive soccer. And like once you hit 18, you either you stop playing league. You can either go to play at a professional level, or you can kind of play that rec beer league. And I wasn't really good enough to play professional soccer, but I didn't really like the environment of beer league. I wanted more structure. So I was kind of floating around, and I needed something because I didn't, I felt a bit lost, and I'd always wanted to learn how to fight. So I'll date myself here. I picked up the phone book and I looked up, I was 19. Yeah. And I'm 31 now. And I looked up and there was a gym called the Fight Pit. And so I called them and they said, yeah, come by, get you free week. And I showed up and it was like all men, and it like smelled like sweat and feet. And I was like, ooh, like this is interesting. And I kind of like went and stretched in the corner. I was like, oh, like what am I getting myself into here? And I tried it, and I went home and puked, and I was like, that was amazing. I love that. I want to do that again. And I just started going back and back and back. And yeah, I absolutely just fell in love with the sport and fell in love with the community. Really, it's such a good group of people. And yeah, through my early 20s, my late 20s, I got opportunities to travel. So I got to go live in Thailand for a little bit, get some fights out there, do some training in Australia. Oh yeah, Brady Bunch. Is that your jam, Thailand?
That's what I've been talking about for months, is heading out there for a camp and hopefully getting a kickboxing match lined up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was hard for me because I had my first fight out there, but about the size of a Thai man. So like, like the Thais are small people, and then like me and my coaches were like, Alana, you too big. No fight. I'm like, I'm not even that big. And they're like, oh, you big lady. Yeah. So it took me a little while, but we finally found like a really stacked Thai girl, and I I had my first fight and I won, and that was so awesome. It was such a cool experience being out there and just getting in the ring. And then when I came back to Canada, had a few, boxing, kickboxing, amateur MMA fights. Life happened. I stepped away for a little bit, like always kept training, but I got my education, got a cool new job. And then a year and a half ago, Palace Athena, so where I made my pro debut, they reached out to my coach and they told me, hey, we're looking for someone to fight Maxim Turcotte Novosedlik, who's this Golden Gloves boxer who wants to go pro in MMA. Do you think Alana would be interested? And my coach asked me, and we did a lot of thinking, and yeah, we took the fight, decided it was time to go pro, and it's been good ever since.
That's awesome.
That boxer picked the wrong animal to pick on. I'll tell you, that was not a good decision in the end for them. But Alana, when I introduced you, and then you didn't even really say it, but I love your post the other day on your Instagram. You're like, hey, in a little while, every fight I finish is going to be a doctor stoppage. And the reason is because you're getting your doctorate in kinesiology.
Yeah. So
right? I'm a kinesiologist graduate as well. So.
Oh, are you? Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I'm actually currently a professor at UBC. So I have my master's in Indigenous land-based education, and I'm Métis, and I teach a course about Indigenous sport and physical culture in settler Canada. And I've been really enjoying teaching. Actually, it's pretty similar to coaching. I can't make them do push-ups or burpees or anything, but I like that idea.
You could.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I like the transfer of knowledge, and it's really cool to be able to, promote reconciliation in Canada and work with the next generation. And yeah, so I decided, I think it'd be really cool to go to that next level. So I just found out a couple of days ago that I got into the PhD program. So I I told my coach, I'm like, hey, all the fights I finish are going to be Dr. Stoppage.
That's right.
And he was like, you're an idiot, but like,
no, I love it. That's good. I mean, you might have to change your nickname to Dr. Alanimal.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But like, yeah, no, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Dr. Alanimal.
And so I like hearing about Dr. Alanimal.
No, my boyfriend calls me
Dr.
Professor Meathead, so I'll be Dr. Meathead now. There you go.
All right. Well, I like hearing about the Métis heritage. I love that too. On this podcast, way back in the early days, we met a girl who was running a fundraiser for Indigenous awareness, and we supported that. And we went out there and did that because of all the craziness that goes on. I can talk to you about this offline forever, Alana. But I did want to raise because I saw that you have something called Walking Like Warriors. And so I wanted to give an opportunity for you to talk about that because that is so cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I find a lot of the time when people either find out they have some Indigenous heritage or they find out that they always say like, well, what do you get? Well, what do you get for that? You know? And what I tell my students is that it's not about what you can get, it's about what you can give. So being Indigenous means you're part of a community and you take care of each other. So I've been really blessed that growing up in the Métis community, I've had, my organization take care of me. And I feel like it's my turn. I want to take care of my people and I want to give back. So a couple of years ago, I was invited to do a self-defense workshop for a bunch of young Métis girls. And I really liked it. And I'm like, okay, I think there's something here. I think this is something I want to do. So it's definitely more of a passion project of mine than anything full-time. But I started a group called Walking Like Warriors, and myself and some friends of mine who are also Indigenous and do martial arts, we go to reserves and schools, and we teach Indigenous youth and women self-defense.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. That's so cool. I love that. Like anytime that you post about that, like feel free to tag us so we'll share that out as well because that's really cool.
For sure. We've got another Instagram page for it, and I usually apply for grants to kind of help cover some of the travel costs, but we're always looking for communities to host us, and we love traveling. So we've been to we went to Kitimat, we've been to Nanaimo, Port Alberni, the Vancouver area, Chehalis. So it's been a really cool opportunity to meet different people from different parts of BC.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations about that. That's a good story. I do want to get to a few questions that we had people write in, if that's okay, because I know we're coming on time, but I want to get through to a few questions. You were asking me like, hey, did you get any good questions? I'm like, no. people send in like the stupidest, boring questions.
They really do. Like, I'd be like, what are you wearing for the fight? Or like something
like what's your walkout song? It's like, okay, cool. But it's like on this podcast, we like to get questions that are like out of the blue, like weird questions. Cause it's otherwise I can just Google Alana Cook and I'll find the answers anyways. Right. Mm-hmm. So I picked out some decent ones. The first one, if the Alanimal was a Pokemon, which would she be?
Ooh, did Cole Smith write that one? I feel like
it might have been.
Oh man! Oh wow! We're gonna take me back there. Yeah. I think I'd be like Flareon or Vaporeon, like when maybe the evolutions of Eevee. Yeah, I always thought those were pretty cool and have like that mental power.
Super Pokemon nerd.
I grew up in the '90s, man. That was my jam. You know how much useless knowledge I have saved in there about all the Pokemon attacks and defenses? Like, I could have learned another language, but instead I still know all the evolutions of Bulbasaur. So
good. What? Then you get to a little bit more of a it's a dirtier question, but it also falls in line with what we talked about last week. Why are you not on WikiFeet?
On WikiFeet?
It's a real problem. The fans want to know.
Why are they not on the WikiFeet? What is that like for free? Is that for free? Or you sell a little picture of your feet?
Yeah, it's like our co-host last week. She's 5-star rated on WikiFeet. It's just like people take pictures of your feet and put them on this website. So just letting you know you are not on it.
Oh, so, thank you. Yeah.
People were disappointed.
Like, having to look for guys at the gym, you know, with their phone like here. Now I gotta like wait, see guys like their phone way down there.
Yeah. Careful.
Yeah. To which I respond, have you ever seen a fighter's feet?
Yeah.
Like we work out barefoot. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, next question, and this one, there's only one right answer here. Prime or Gatorade?
All right.
She's holding up a Gatorade. She's holding up a Gatorade bottle. Have you tried
from the teat of the Gatorade? Yeah.
As someone who is, you know, young in their pro career, perhaps UFC bound, are you willing to drink the sludge that is Prime?
Is that like the Jake Paul?
Yeah, it's this one.
Oh my god. You know what? My boyfriend and I, we went to a gas station and we were like looking for drinks and we're like, oh, what's this? And we just grabbed them. We went to the till and the lady's like, that'll be $22. And we're like, for fucking what? And she's like, we're like, no. I'm like, I'm not spending $10 on a drink.
That's crazy. So can I tell? Yeah. So this is the Prime drink. I've been drinking one on every podcast to try every flavor. Each one more disgusting than next, Alana. So you save good money.
I hope you were sponsored. I hope you didn't spend money on that.
No, I did. But here's the thing. So I was in England a couple of weeks ago, and I saw it at stores, and they're like U.S. import Prime, you know, and it's like super popular for the kids, whatever. They were selling it for like 15 pounds a bottle. So it was like more than $20 Canadian. There's a gas station near my house that always has them, $3.
Is it like Panda Blood? Like
it might have some of Logan Paul's sweat in it, I think.
Oh,
every third bottle.
We gotta send some to Remington then. Yeah. He hates the Paul brothers. Every time like Jake Paul wins, I like send it to him right away. And he's like, I'm gonna drop you if you don't stop doing that. He like hates him so much.
Yeah. Next question. This is more related. Do you watch UFC fights? Like, are you like big into watching? Okay. So the question is, did Mokaev tap? Do you know what this controversy is?
I didn't watch the last fight.
Oh, look at what I'll show you a little video. Okay, this is what he did in the middle of the fight.
Oh yeah, that's a tap.
That's a tap.
That's a tap.
He says that the guy was saying something like, oh, sorry for whatever. I don't know whether he hooked a glove or something. And he goes, so I was just saying, oh, that's okay, buddy.
You know what? You just unlocked a memory in my mind. So in my last fight with Maria Demers, actually, there's this part in the third round where I'm on top of her and I'm punching her and her elbow got stuck in my sports bra. And all of a sudden I was like, watch out, my boob's gonna pop out. And she was like, my elbow's stuck. And like, you can see on the video, I take a moment where we both pause and I just pluck her elbow out of my sports bra. And then I just kind of give her a little, and we both kind of, and then we go back to fighting. So maybe, because I literally kind of did that to be like, okay, thanks. Now let's get back to it. So, okay.
But I mean, okay, but you got to be careful with that, right?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It's just like, yeah, oh man.
Because if the ref saw it, doesn't know that you're in the middle of that weird thing. I mean, yours sounds a little bit different because you're like unhooking your shirt and stuff. So the ref must have kind of seen what was going on. But like with this one,
on top, but like,
yeah. Well, sure, but anything. Okay, so let's talk about that though, because anything could happen. Like suddenly your rib could snap, or like a joint could pop. Like the ref doesn't know that it's not from anything. So if you just tap like crazy, now Mokaev's was crazy. Let me show it one more time because this is like
yeah, that's like 6 little taps.
Yeah, like he's tapping a lot with an open hand. Like it's not like quickly or anything. Like he's like tapping. I'm like, this guy's gonna lose his undefeated streak because of a stupid tap. But yeah, okay, well.
No, and I referee jiu-jitsu sometimes, and like I'm so like I had like a master's guy who like just like was not ready to go out, and like he was going, and all of a sudden like he took his little finger and he was like the most like gingerly little, like I had to look with like binoculars. I'm like, okay, that's really, like, you know what I mean? So but then you get guys, right, who I always have to look for double now, because I had a guy who was like getting in a knee bar and he just like aggressively hit his knee and he's like, that wasn't a tap, I was just grabbing my knee. Like, So now I kind of look at it and I kind of wait for like a few times like that.
Yeah,
I probably would have called that a tap if I was the referee at that point.
Yeah. Well, lots of drama going on online, and people are like, "You don't be so stupid. He didn't tap to the knee bar. Why would he tap to anything else?" It's like, dude, you can be more flexible in one joint than the next.
Yes.
100%. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. So, anyways, yeah. All right. Last fan question: what is the Alanimal's guilty pleasure?
Ooh. Man, I don't know, cheating on my diet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what do you like to cheat with? What's
yeah, food wise, I've been pretty good right now. I've got a good nutritionist, so it's I have these protein donuts right now, and like it was really funny because like I'm so bad for like if it fits in my macros, I love it. So like, like I'll get like the little keto treats and the stuff, and my nutritionist Sean, he's the diabetic fighter. He's like, you know that you're not supposed to have this. And the other night, I this donut company called Sweet Success. They make like cookies and donuts, and they're so good. And literally, Sean was messaging me being like, "You can't eat any more of these keto stuff." And literally, in the next message I got, Sweet Success is like, "We'd like to sponsor you and send you a bunch of free donuts before your fight." And I just sent him the screenshot, and he was like, "Alana, like so."
Well,
I
wait.
just felt like, well, if I can't miss weight. I'm sponsored by a donut company, like people will never let me live that down if I miss weight.
But okay, but hold on. But did you partner up with them? Did you take them up on the sponsorship?
Of course.
Of
yeah.
course. Yeah. Okay.
So
Good
I just,
call.
I'll be good the week of a weight cut. I don't, but it's been really nice in my fight camp, just having that, like, I do have a sweet tooth, so just having like one little thing to look forward to every day is nice. I'm so over sugar-free Jello, man. It's so bowl that every night.
I mean, no offense, but keto-free donuts, I feel is like you're still cheating on this answer, but that's fine. We'll let you go with that. Brady Bunch, any questions for Alana?
So I'm curious. What was the name of that company? Because I actually am someone who I've got a fight coming up. I do the keto diet to cut weight, but my question for you: are your coaches telling you like, screw the keto diet, it's horrible, and you're eating keto treats?
Yeah. No, I know. So I just do keto for a few days just to kind of drop the water weight. But like while I'm training, I am having carbs. It's more like the sugar issue. Like I try, and I just find like the keto treats like don't have sugar in them, and they still taste pretty good. Like, you tested my blood right now. It's probably like 20% monk fruit. So it's like I've tried all the sugar-free alternatives, but the cookies are really good. There's like 100 calories, like a few carbs, a little bit of sugar, but they taste just like regular cookies. They're really good. I'll send you the link. Yeah.
Sweet Success. All right, perfect. And you know what? Here's my go-to Quest.
Oh, girl, no, change your life.
That's awesome. You put me onto something. I do the thing where because I know there's less carbs, I end up like eating a box in a sitting sometimes. There's protein in it too. So, but my question for you, I've got a couple questions if you're cool. I'll try and make it quick because you're probably gonna run.
No, I got it. We're good.
All right. I know you traveled the world. You talked a bit about Thailand. I think I also read that you've been to like Australia, Japan for judo. Out of all the places you've gone to that I guess are not based in Canada or the US, where do you think you got the most bang for your buck with training, if that makes sense?
I would say, probably just, Thailand for a couple of reasons. So when I love to sleep in, I'm like, let's do our first training session at like 11 and our next one at like 7. Like I really, I don't really love waking up really early. I can go for like a run in the morning, but training takes a little while for my brain to turn down. So before, when I've been traveling, sometimes like if I'm just exhausted, I would miss a morning training session. In Thailand, I was living at the gym. So like at 8 a.m., everyone's out like, wham,
bang,
wham.
Bang, bang. Yeah.
Inside my room, skipping. So I'm like better get up, So that I was always kind of living in the gym was just such a game changer because you're already there, right? So it's just like walk out the door and you can start training. And it's just a beautiful place, you know. It's really, I find that I didn't get injured at all while I was there because you're always so warm, right? So it's hard to pull a muscle or anything.
Cool.
And then yeah, it's paradise. You know, in between classes, you're out, you're just going to the beach or you're going for a walk, and like there's flowers, there's plants everywhere. It's warm, and I like to go to a gym where like the people speak very little English, like that, like old school, like the real Muay Thai. And yeah, Thai people are just, they're funny and they're really welcoming. And yeah, I had a wonderful trip. I would love to go back again. Definitely will one day.
Awesome. And out of curiosity, what island were you on there?
Koh Phangan, so Full Moon Party Island. So
Nice.
4 days out of the month, it was chaos, just like tourists everywhere, and everyone's just hammered. And then the rest of the time, it's so peaceful. It's really nice, actually. So
Nice balance.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. I think you've sold me. Timmy's been hearing about this. I'm so going.
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
Do it.
Awesome. And I guess my other question is, I know I read about some of your influences, like you love Ronda. There's someone else you mentioned. I'm curious when it comes to like the youth or the up and comers. Is there any female fighter out there right now that like you're noticing as just like you respect their hustle? You're like, that's one talented person.
I think Casey O'Neill's pretty cool. You know, like for being so young. And then a girl I train with, Mel, has like, you know, trained with her before. And, you know, I like fighters that are real, you know, like I like fighters that like don't, you know, try and put up I like ones that say like, you know what, I'm having a meltdown today. It's really, really hard. I like ones that just, you know, you can be honest. And I feel like she's funny and she's pretty open about, you know, when she is having a bad day or when she is struggling, and then when she is like believing in herself. So you know, I can really relate to that. Like it was really funny when I saw the intro video when you made for this. I'm like, man, I have no poker face. Like you can tell what emotion I'm feeling all the time. Like some people, you know, get their hand raised and they're just like another day at the office.
Too cool.
I'm like so happy every time. And like, yeah. And I'm always feeling all the things, you know, and I hope that I never get to a place in this career where winning just feels like another day at the office, even though it's so hard in fight camp. And I wouldn't have it any other way, because it's just awesome to know that we can go through this as a human and come out like that. So yeah, I like it.
That's awesome.
Your response to.
Yeah, no, that was a great question and a great answer. Alana, we appreciate having you on the podcast so much. Like forever, you will be a friend of the podcast. If there's ever anything that you want to promote or support or anything like that, just hit us up and we'd be happy to have you back. And we hope that you do come back one day. Before we let you go, is there anything that you want to say or shout out?
Yeah, just all my, you know, I've had so many sponsors this camp. I've been really, really blessed. You know, my chiro is amazing. Harrison Chiropractic. Fuel Maple Ridge has always sponsored me with supplements. My dietitian, my strength and training. Man, there's too many people. Like everyone's been so supportive this camp. I had a t-shirt, and like so many people bought it, and it's really awesome to see the love I'm getting. I did go through surgery last summer, so this is my first fight back. And, you know, going through that, you know, like sometimes you think like, am I going to fight again? You know, it's really hard when you're in the thick of it to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm back here, and you know what, no matter the outcome, I am so, so proud of myself. And I'm just so excited to continue that journey.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So yeah, so well said, Alana. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. We really appreciate it. Before we let you go, one last question. Who should we have on the podcast next? Someone that you could recommend, someone cool.
My buddy Josh Kwiatkowski. He's really funny. Yeah. Did I see an eye roll? I was like, do you know him?
Yeah, no, that's exciting. Okay, yeah, no, we will reach out.
He's an entertaining motherfucker. Yeah, I think he'd be fun to have on the podcast. I think you guys would have some fun with him. Yeah.
All right, nice. Well, we will definitely reach out. Everybody has to make sure that they check out Alana Cook, the Alanimal. You're fighting on March 30th. It's on UFC Fight Pass, so go buy goddamn Fight Pass. It's an easy purchase. Alana Cook at BFL 76. Alana, good luck with this fight. Kick some ass. will be cheering for you all over the world, cheering for you, giving you good support and love. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. All right. Take care.
See you later. Take care. Bye-bye.
That's cool.
How cool is that? The Alanimal, the Flareon, Dr. Flareon.
Yeah, I love that. But I wanted to ask, I forgot. I was going to ask, does she have any fears about like training in the future?
No fears. No fears. She's kick-ass, no fear, no nothing. I put her Instagram handle at the bottom of the screen. Sorry, I didn't do that during because sometimes it messes up her video, but it's at the Alanimal. So go find it, or just come over to our Instagram and you'll see us tagging her and everything. So go check out the Alanimal, support Alana Cook. So cool. Even the stuff she does with the walking like warriors and stuff like that, that stuff is so cool too, Brady Bunch. I love that. All right, so I want to talk about a few things. Friends of the podcast update, Rageworks Podcast Network. We're on that podcast network, so thanks, guys, for having us there, and go check them out. Of course, we talked about Bam Bam and his unfortunate fight, but boy, oh boy, did I like when Alana said fighting is 50% training, 50% business, something like that. I gotta go back and watch that, but 50% training, 50% preparation, 50% business. Get that business 50%. Fuck. Like, you got it, you know?
I get it. You know what?
And then she talked about having like good management and good coaching and all that too, right? And I'm like, yeah, these people gotta say this stuff. I mean, I guess when you're at this top level, look, I believe I can kick ass and beat up anybody in the world, right? Like, you gotta have that belief in yourself.
Yeah.
But
you know
there's also a little bit of, you know, something.
Yeah, and
I want to talk to him about it. I'm going to talk to him about it too, because when we have him back on the podcast, you know, we always will. I do want to talk about that, about like, you know, where does that selection come from though?
How do you think he would do jumping to the BKFC world?
No, he said on this podcast before that once he's done with UFC, he's done. Like, he doesn't want to go anywhere else. He's UFC born and raised.
Being such a brawler, it's like,
sure.
You know,
I mean, the only thing that I tried to convince him to get into was pillow fighting. Because there's some, but he said no to that. So, you know, I think he's stuck with saying no. It's UFC. Like, he was going to retire before when his last contract ran out, and then they extended it. And he's like, all right, cool, let's do it. But
all right,
I also blame UFC. These fuckers. He fights Fight of the Nights against Matt Brown and Robbie Lawler. Has crazy fights. Win or lose, he had crazy fights. Now, he wins them both. And then you put him up against two grappling heavy guys. It's like, well, what the frick's the point? Like, why would you even want him to fight that fight?
I get it.
Right? I don't know. I hate that. It's annoying as hell.
Is he just a really good company man?
That's the thing too. He took this fight on short notice, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a good company man. I mean, speaking of, do we want to talk about Colby Covington for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Colby Covington, you've seen all the videos online. I don't have a clip because they were just all coming out today, but just turn on your Instagram and you'll see the clips. But he's talking about he's the next in line. He's the next. Dana says Colby's the next.
Yes.
He says, you know, I'm the next, blah, blah, blah. Leon Edwards, he's not the next, right? But Colby even says, and he releases a video today, don't cross your boss. He's like, look, if your boss is saying something, you better freaking do it, which means like, hey, you got to fight me. People online are saying, look, Colby doesn't deserve it. He hasn't fought in so long, blah, blah. He fought last March. Yeah. So if you fight twice a year, okay, maybe he's missed one, maybe two fights. He trained a whole training camp to fight either Usman or Edwards for this fight. He weighed in at championship weight. So he cut weight, did all that, put in the time and effort. I mean, you got to count that as almost a fight. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't fight anyone else because he had to be ready for this to save the company should one of the headliners fall out.
Yeah.
So are you okay with Colby getting the next title shot? Being as he hasn't really beaten too many people of late. He beat Masvidal.
Do you know what? I guess this is my question for you first. Do you think Colby has a good chance of winning?
Oh yeah. I think Colby has a good chance of beating anybody.
All right, because in my opinion, what is it? He's lost 2 title fights.
Yeah.
Part of me, so listen, I'm not so against it. Part of me wishes maybe they had him fight one more fight against
Sure.
what's his face, who thinks he deserves the fight.
Who? Bilal?
Yeah, right. Maybe have the 2 of them fight and then
Yeah.
decide from there. Like, all right, whoever wins that fight goes and fights Edwards, right?
I'm gonna put it. Hold on. I'm gonna put one thing out there. I don't think UFC wants Bilal to fight for the title
I don't think so either.
because he's boring, and I don't think people care about him. And if you were watching the fights, I think it was the Joanne Wood fight, Joanne Calderwood. He comes out into I'm pretty sure it's that fight. Joanne Calderwood is fighting Carolina Luana or whatever her name was. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the crowd starts roaring like crazy. And even the commentators are confused as to why the crowd starts to roar. And then John Anik is like, Colby just entered the building.
All right.
The whole freaking arena erupted when he came out during the early prelims. You know what
Yes.
I mean? I don't think Bilal gets that reaction.
Not at all.
I don't think Shavkat gets that reaction. Colby gets that reaction. He's ranked number 2.
What?
He lost a close fight to Usman, beats Masvidal. He's ranked number 2. Yeah, I'm okay with it. And I think the UFC wants it because they're like, who's going to sell pay-per-views? It's Colby.
You're right. You know what, too? I'll say, well, this is what had me thinking, actually. I saw the headline. He was saying himself that he thinks him and Conor McGregor, if they were to fight, would have the biggest fight in UFC history. And a lot of people in the comments were like, yes, the trash talking, the hype.
Yeah.
Yes. As we know, the UFC is all about numbers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At this point, though, I'm excited to see a fight happen either way.
Conor's supposed to fight Chandler.
Yes.
And Conor said that if he beats Chandler, he expects a title shot.
Interesting.
How beautiful could it be if Colby beats Edwards, Conor beats Chandler, and then that's a title fight? Fuck.
Yeah. Imagine if fucking Conor gets the belt back after all this shit. Where people are questioning if he would ever even come back.
With his new giant steroided head. Have you seen McGregor's head?
What? It's just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, his head's getting huge. Like,
isn't that a sign of like don't
steroids?
Yeah. Right. Like.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's the thing, though. I get it. As long as he passes his test, we can't talk shit, right?
Well, okay, but that's the thing, though. He hasn't passed anything. Have you seen those things online where apparently he hasn't gone back into the USADA pool yet, and USADA has said he hasn't been in the pool. He's supposed to be in for 6 months, pass at least 2 tests before he can compete. And it's getting to the point now where, like, this Ultimate Fighter show that he's coaching, the finale and his fight is like less than 6 months away. So people are like, well, what the frick? Like, are you not going to partake? Yeah. So
it makes you wonder, is part of the plan to delay it? Is this like a Brock Lesnar type scenario where...
Yeah. Are they going to give him some weird exemption? Blah, blah, blah. Right.
Whatever. I'll be happy to see him back. I honestly will.
The world will be happy to see him back. But anyways, okay, so Colby's got next. You and I are both on the same page. Yeah, Colby's got next. Give him the fight. Let's see what happens, right? Nobody wants to see Bilal fight for a title. That's what we know. So forget it.
I'm really digging Leon now. Like,
oh yeah, cool dude, man. Cool dude.
Hope he holds on to the belt. I would like to see him. And a lot of people are saying he's worried about not having strong enough ground game, but I think I feel like they're downplaying his skills a little bit too much.
No, he did very well. And look, if you're going to fight Colby, you're going to work on that wrestling defense and wrestling takedown, right? Like when your opponent is that focused on that, you're going to work on that. And he's got all the time in the world now to focus on that and become better. So,
yeah.
I would like to see Leon beat him too. I mean, either guy wins, I'm happy. those are both exciting storylines either way.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah. All right. Well, something weird happened while we were gone. So I haven't seen you on the podcast in what? This is like the 4th week, maybe? Like it's been even longer, maybe?
At least
yeah, at least a while. So there's a lot that's happened back and forth in both of our lives. So do we want to focus on you first or me first?
Your choice.
All right, let's do you first.
All right.
The thing that I'm saving, and so stay tuned on this podcast. I'm gonna announce next week's guest at the end of this podcast. You do not want to miss it. You don't want to miss it.
All right.
All right. So this happened. Now let me pull this up. This happened.
The person talking almost jumped into the ring, actually.
Yeah. I can't understand what anybody is saying in those clips, but you won your celebrity boxing match against Layla.
Yes.
By DQ.
Yes, unfortunately. But I won. So
but you won. And you were winning the fight anyways.
Yes, I was definitely up on the cards. I was.
Yeah.
Yes. So like.
So what round did it get stopped in?
So it was the 3rd round.
Okay. Of how many rounds?
So here's the truth. In celebrity boxing, the most I think they could do is 4 rounds.
Okay.
So I think what they do is if at the end the scorecards are tied, they move us on to the 4th round. So I definitely was up on the scorecards. To tell you the truth, I was taking it easy. And what had me frustrated was I'm trying to get the footage from the fight. But in the first round, I actually knocked her helmet off at one point.
Okay.
And I remember after that being like, you know what? Just keep your pace, keep this slow. And what my game plan was going to be was at the end of the 3rd, just to unleash, right? Like,
right.
So the one thing that had me happier from my last fight, like my cardio was barely touched. But knowing that this is a ridiculous organization that I think likes to stir the pot sometimes, I have to wonder if my opponent may have been suggested if she was going to lose to start some fucking drama.
Okay, hold on. So the drama that was started was that you started to eat some knees in a boxing fight.
Yeah, so I think I actually first got like a full fucking, almost like a fucking kick.
Sure, why not?
So I think
this is celebrity boxing, by the way, so it's allowed. Yeah.
Right. And then I noticed some knees. I may have accidentally had a knee or two myself back.
Okay.
But here's the truth. Yeah, there was a few knees. So imagine they gave like warnings. It was a little confusing because it was all happening so fast. Right. But I think literally we got into a corner, and I think like the camera angle that, from what I've seen, didn't catch it all. Okay. But I think it was shortly after like getting another warning, we both kind of tussled. But I think she kneed me again, and that's where the ref was just like, he ended up calling it.
Right. So hold on. So calls the fight, and yes, the angle that I saw of the fight, I can't see that final knee that causes the stoppage. But then you see the ref stop it, and that's why I spoke to you after, and I was like, "What the hell happened? Like, what was it?"
Yes.
He said, "Oh, it was another knee." So okay, so they stopped the fight, but then as they break you two up, I mean, she just runs at you like WWE style. There's tons of people in the ring breaking you guys apart. Yeah. You ended up going for what looked like a Goldberg spear.
You know what?
Suddenly you were just charging.
I was like, but here's the thing though. I was like hesitant too though, because I know yes, that was going through my head, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like thinking about like, I can't be a complete embarrassment to my community. Who knows? Like, yeah. But here's the truth. I'm hoping that whole experience makes me want to do MMA more than ever against whether it's someone like that or G. Marie who's running and hiding from me. But yeah, and here's the truth: if my opponent wants to turn it into an MMA fight, I've got a heavy wrestling background. I've been doing the grappling. But I'd say part of my frustration is this. Clearly, we're gonna have a rematch.
Yeah, you think so?
Yes. Now, I do know that when it comes to the kicks, one thing I heard is that like this person coming from the background that they came from is used to throwing kicks or whatever. Who knows? But I know like they had security go backstage after the fight to make sure like we were not still fighting.
Right.
We definitely calmed down a lot.
Okay.
It was the heat of the moment. But you know what? I'm happy overall because I got the win.
Okay.
My big thing now is I want to go like the full rounds. I don't want
Right.
gear.
Yeah,
So
pick
here's
it
the
up.
script. I plan on fighting for celebrity boxing again, but this was a learning experience.
Yeah.
I regret not going hard from the very beginning
Mhm.
because I was like pacing it and taking it easy.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's why I want to fight a killer in the ring maybe next after this silly fight because
Okay, but so just quickly, and we'll move on a little bit. I mean, we can always come back to this, or who cares? We can just keep going. But that's why it's important when you fight. And I think we've talked before, and this is for like any amateurs or anybody listening to this podcast that cares. This is why picking your opponent is important in terms of experience as well, because
yes,
you're learning, right? About, oh, I overpaced myself. I didn't push myself enough. Those are those kind of learnings. That's why it's important that you fight someone who's like of the same experience level. You can't
yes,
fight someone with 20 fights because that person, win, lose, or draw, they're learning every time.
yes,
And they'll murder you just based off of that knowledge that they've acquired, right? So yeah, there you go. But
yes. And
yeah,
that's why I'm hoping part of me wants to box another man, cisgender man.
sure.
But you know, without revealing too much, I am talking to other organizations,
Right.
trying to get some paperwork and a passport in order.
Yeah. The pillow fighting league. Yeah.
Yes, the Pillow Fighting League, right?
Wink, wink. Yeah.
The world's greatest trans pillow fighter right here,
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. So yeah, no, okay. So look, lots of content for your Instagram, for promotion, for celebrity boxing. I mean, it was insanity at the end of your fight. So
Yeah,
in
and
in a way, hey, you still end up coming away with the win, but you also come away with all this great content to be able to share. I mean, you haven't shared a lot of it, but I'm sure once the actual videos come out, you're going to pump this baby up. And
yes,
if there's another fight, whether it's against Layla again or against someone else, this is all content that is going to be used to help you promote.
without a doubt.
So in the end, congratulations to you. Hey, you got it done. You stepped in there more than 99% of the world can do, right? You stepped in there to compete. You did it. You win your fight. All the best to you. Congratulations. It's beautiful. I'm so happy.
And you know what was cool? This was one little last thing. Like there were pro fighters there, some former amateur champs, some BKFC fighters. And after the fight, so many of them came up to me to like get pictures with me and stuff, meaning like what I thought was like my half-ass pacing
A
performance, right?
disaster, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Like to get their feedback felt great. So yes, I'm gonna
Yeah.
zip there. But I know just how much better I will be in every fight after this. Like you were saying, you learn in every fight, you
Right.
learn in every spar session. So as long as my body's staying healthy, I'll be good.
Yes. Yes. Congratulations. So we're running late on time. So I think we'll skip the Jeff Molina talk for
All
today.
right.
We can bring it up later. I feel like it's going to be like a really solemn discussion when we talk about this. Okay. But just so people understand, Jeff Molina is the guy that wore the rainbow shorts like a year ago. And when he suffered flack for it, he said, I just liked the colors. I just thought it was cool. I just, whatever.
Yeah.
A year later now, a video comes out of him in some sexual acts, revealing that he is not straight. He says now he comes out and says, well, I'm bi and whatever. And there's whole drama around that, like, which is crazy, this story. So we'll talk about it again. Hey, if we can reach out to Jeff Molina and he would at all want to come on this podcast, by all means, I would love to have a true open discussion with him about this, because this is like just a crazy story. And I feel bad for the guy, like big time bad for the guy.
Me too. And, you know, I'll say this. I think it depends on the profile or Facebook post I'm reading, but I do see a lot of support. And
good.
A lot of people like, why do we even care? Who cares, right?
No. There's 1,000 angles on the story for sure. Yeah.
Yes, and the last thing I'll say, I'll try my best. Hopefully, we do reel him in.
Yeah. Reach out.
But I've been a fan ever since that, like the short incident where I didn't know the behind the scenes part. But I remember, I think I brought this up on this podcast, just how like that got to me, the MMA community, like so much homophobia and all that, right? So
we've talked about it before.
Yeah. So like in a way, this guy's a pioneer, even though it's forced. So hopefully we can get him on.
Very, very last thing I'll say on this though. Don't forget, he is the one guy that has been banned from fighting due to the James Krause betting incidents.
Oh fuck!
Did you forget that?
I did forget that.
Okay, so that's what's also a little bit crazy. That's what makes me think we'll never get him on the podcast. But you would have to say to him, hey, look, dude, we're not going to talk to you about that at all. Like, we're not going to talk to you about the banning. But when you're looking into the story, what makes this even crazier is that he's the one guy that was singled out as having some sort of connection to this whole thing. And he's been banned, right? So there's that too. But okay, let's move on with next week's guest. Brady Bunch, you do not know who it is.
All right.
But I am going to reveal it. Now, I don't even know if you saw this, because you definitely... you never reached out to me after, but I know you were training for your fight and all that. So before I went on vacation, I wake up and my Instagram says, you've been tagged in a video. And I look at it, and the person that has tagged me, I'm like, oh, this doesn't make sense. And then I click on the video. And so again, you'll hear it, but come to the video and watch the video podcast. It's this person speaking, and then at Fight Insight Podcast is plastered across the screen. Here is the video that shocked the hell out of me.
No disrespect, bro. I really don't do interviews like that. I try to keep it like really like limited to what I do and how much I talk and whatnot, blah, 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 on people's sites. But a friend told me she was looking for me for like 2 years. And that's some real shit. So you now popped up my radar, and I'm looking for you now. So let's get it together.
You've spoken to me about your desire to interview him. That's awesome. Right.
So for those on audio, that is King Bobby Green calls me out. He will be on the podcast next week.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm super excited.
I'm
sure you're even more excited.
I'm so excited. It is so funny. Like, my wife is like, you seem more excited for this than our wedding day. Okay. She knows. Before I showed her the video, I said to her, look, who is my favorite fighter of all time? Like, Bam Bam Barberena, love him.
Yes.
To death, of course. He's my friend. But in terms of just overall swagger and style and like just his whole aura of who this dude is, forever, I have been a massive Bobby Green fan. And without saying that to my wife, and I just said, who's my favorite fighter? She goes, Bobby Green? You know? And then I showed his video. I couldn't believe it. I cannot believe it. He does like 0 interviews.
Yes.
So.
And you know what? That's awesome.
It's fucking happening.
We got to come up with really good questions.
So if you are watching this far into the podcast, first of all, thank you. But if you have any questions, smart questions, you idiots, smart questions that you think that I should be asking Bobby Green, who does no interviews this guy does. You know, he has a crazy story. If you watch, there's a Fight Life video on UFC that talks about his upbringing a little bit. He's talked about it in the ring before. He talks about having a foster father who like took him in off the streets and blah, blah, who's now his coach and all that, right? Like he has a crazy life, this dude. But like, look at his fight style. Look at how he fights. Look at his swagger, his positivity. Like when he talks to people, like he's such a motivational speaker. Crazy. I'm telling you, Brady Bunch, I swear I'm so close to thinking I just retire this podcast after interviewing him, because I'm like, what else is there in life? I don't even know. I don't know what else could ever get me up to do this podcast after I speak with Bobby Green. A dream come true. And there's one individual that helped me get in touch with him. We had been talking behind the scenes like months before this happened. And it kind of like, this guy apparently knew Bobby, and I just don't want to say his name for whatever reason, but he kind of knew Bobby Green, said he was going to kind of reach out. Then something's happened. I said, no, that's cool. Like, you know, it is what it is. I love him, you know, just wish him all the best. A month goes by or whatever with nothing. And then suddenly that video popped.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy moly. It's crazy. So very, very excited to have the opportunity and the honor to speak with him.
Which day?
What, next week?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's going to be Tuesday. Like, we'll record it on the Tuesday like normal. Like, it would be normal time for us.
All right, cool.
But he's been good. He's been cool about, yeah, I'll work it all out with you because I definitely want you there. But, whoa, it's crazy. It's crazy. And you know what is funny? There was a post when, oh my goodness, Veronica Macedo, who's now married to Dan Hardy.
Yeah.
She won on the weekend after like a long layoff, beats Juliana Miller. And I made good money on that fight too. It was like 4.5 times odds, I bet, because nobody thought Hardy was going to win. But I'm like, you're married to Dan Hardy, one of the best analysts in the game. This dude is going to have you so ready for this fight. And sure enough, beats Juliana Miller. She posts a photo of them celebrating at the end, and they're hugging, her and Dan in the cage. And her quote is, "He's happier here than in any of our wedding photos." Just and I thought, oh my God, that's exactly like what my wife had said to me about the Bobby Green video. So
That's awesome.
that was very funny, very cute. Brady Bunch, we're done for the day. We are perfect timing as we are. Anything that you want to say before we get going?
No, just really, I'm honored to be here. I'm happy I'm back. I'm hoping to be back on the regular. Now that my schedule has cleared a little and my ADHD is getting a little bit under control. But what I'm really excited for is, all I'll just say is, you know, Timmy, my cousin passed recently. My cousin was all into jiu-jitsu. I got to meet a lot of his gym mates, his awesome coach, who's a little UFC legend himself. Nice. And I'm more motivated than ever to go choke some people out. So I'm hoping we can share some video of my upcoming jiu-jitsu tournament that I'm going to be entering to. But besides that, yeah, very nice. But no, I'm excited for Bobby. I'm excited to see who comes after that. Hopefully it won't be your retirement episode.
Oh, God.
Maybe we'll get Dana White the week after that, for all we know. But no, I'm really excited. And you know what? Maybe let's talk more about bare knuckle boxing in the future too.
Yes, for sure.
Experience.
Oh, I got to talk to you about the London experience. That said, several of the BKFC fighters that I met that night, that fought that night, I've been in contact with. There's a few of them that just super cool dudes, and they've all said they'll come on the podcast. So there's one dude in particular that's been quite chatty with me. So I'm thinking of bringing him on for sure. We've got Invicta owner Shannon Knapp on deck. We've got a few more UFC fighters on deck. So yeah, I've got lots of people. And there's a young amateur fighter that I've been following and that we kind of talk back and forth. And he's got a fight coming up in April, and definitely 100% going to get that dude on the podcast too. So
all right,
there's him as well. And let me say, the Slim Reaper, Rayshawn Rowland, I think he fights, and I apologize, I don't have it queued up, but I think he fights either this week or next, Rayshawn Rowland for UNF. He's a very cool dude. We had a fantastic podcast with that guy. He's the next big thing. Fuck, that dude is such a cool dude, and so good luck to him. But anyways, Brady Bunch, this is it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please subscribe. Tell all your friends. Leave comments. I realize the more you leave comments, the more the podcast gets boosted.
All right.
I think comments is like the huge thing. So please leave a comment. That's what helps boost it all up.
Yes. Share.
I appreciate everybody. Brady Bunch. Yeah, do all that stuff. Thank you so much for coming back, Brady Bunch. I thought you hated me and were ghosting me for good, but you're not. So
Never,
good.
Ever.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Thank you so much.
Later.
See ya.